What's up, everybody? Sean here, back with you guys for week 2 picks of the NFL season for 2015-2016. Alright, so let me recap last week. I went 3-1 against the spread, which is pretty damn good. My week 1 totals after 5 years now fall at a whopping 12-3-2 on week 1. That's right, 12 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws against the spread in week 1. So I hit off pretty good on week 1. I'm usually off to a pretty good start out of the gates. My over-under on week 1 after 5 years is only 1-2. My lock of the week, I forget where I put that part on my sheet, but nevertheless, that's included within the ATS anyway. Okay, so week 2 totals, I dip a little bit. You've got 6-5-4 against the spread, still a winning record. Over-under is 0-1. My lock of the weeks have been 1-2, and my upset special, which we did year 1 on my I Live to Win channel, 1-0. Alright, so with that, let's get right into the picks. This week, I like Arizona -2 versus the Chicago Bears. I think the Arizona Cardinals are a much better team than the Bears. I don't think the Bears are very good at all, to be honest. I think Jay Cutler has no weapons to throw the ball to besides Bennett. And frankly, I think Jay Cutler sucks anyway. He takes way too many chances and kills his team's chances to win. Matt Forte still being a beast. I think it's age 29. Still repping it last week, you know, had a great game. I don't know if that continues all season. I feel like he's due for like an injury. I mean, you hate to say that, but I feel like he's due. Like, I mean, I feel like he hasn't had a big one in quite some time. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I think the Arizona Cardinals, with the Forte injury thing, I think the Cardinals are just a much better team here, is what it comes down to. So, let's go with the Cardinals, -2. My second pick is going to be the Dallas Cowboys, who are +5 over the Philadelphia Eagles. I actually think the Cowboys win this game outright, but we get them +5, so why not take a gift when you're getting one? The Cowboys here are without Dez Bryant, of course, but they moved the ball in 1 minute and 30 seconds down the field on the Giants without Dez Bryant last week. The Cowboys last week seemed to have a game where they moved the ball down the field and then a bad mistake, like a fumble from Cole Beasley, would derail their drive. But they seemed to be the better team last week through and through. The Philadelphia Eagles, on the other hand, had a lot of penalties that they had against them in the second half particularly, but in the first half they barely looked like an NFL team. This Chip Kelly experiment of taking a 10-6 team 2 years in a row with Nick Foles, Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson, and LaShawn McCoy at the helm and completely switching it over in 2 years and getting rid of everybody, having a fire sale and picking up players that he wants, it seemed to be failing miserably in the first half. I mean, those Philadelphia Eagles looked horrible in the first half. The second half, they looked much improved, but even so, I think there's a lot of concerns here for Philadelphia moving forward. This is a huge game for Chip Kelly. Make no mistake about it. This is a need win for the Philadelphia for the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a must win for the Eagles. Okay, so the Cowboys, on the other hand, they've got nothing really to lose at this point. They won last week. They can kind of play a little more carefree. They're in control of that division there, with Washington dropping and the Giants dropping and the Eagles dropping the previous week. So I think Dallas wins this game, especially +5. I mean, let's take them when we can get it. +5. So not in mid-season form yet. Take the Cowboys, +5. All right, my third pick is going to be the Miami Dolphins, who are -6 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars proved last week they still suck. We've got Blake Bortles back at quarterback. He didn't look that great against a tough Carolina defense. I expect that to continue this week against a tough Miami defense. We've got Cameron Wake, and we've got Ndamukong Suh. I think that's how you pronounce his first name. I'm not entirely sure. He's a cheater anyway, so let's just call him Cheater. We've got Cheater, and we've got Wake down there. They're going to put some pressure on Blake Bortles and force him to make some throws he wouldn't want to make. He's going to have some turnovers there. And I thought the Miami Dolphins offense was going to break out last week against a weak Washington defense. They didn't. Let's look for them to break out this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's expect big weeks from those Miami guys. If you got them in fantasy, keep them on your radar. Miami -6. Let's roll with it. All right, now we got the lock of the week. The lock of the week I hit last week. I am 1-0 in the season. Of course, I was 3-1 against the spread overall last week. Great numbers. This week I like the St. Louis Rams, who are -3 against the Washington Redskins. Now we've got Nick Foles coming into a brand new offense with what most people would argue is less weapons than he had in Philadelphia. Now, you got Nick Foles coming in there with his first start with that new team, and he plays against Seattle, the Seattle Seahawks, and he plays well. He almost threw for 300 yards. He had 297. He almost had he did have a costly turnover, but he almost had a really costly turnover at the end of the game. But you're going to give him growing pains working with a new team, a brand new offense, a new playbook, everything. But he played out of his mind, all things considered, and it's Seattle's defense who is the top in the league regarded by many at least. So let's go with the Nick Foles-led Rams to beat the Washington Redskins this week because, well, the Washington Redskins versus the Seattle Seahawks. Who do you think's a better team there? So if you beat the Seahawks, right, Super Bowl champs 2 years ago, went to the Super Bowl again, you beat them, I think you'll be able to beat the Redskins, led by Kirk Cousins. Don't you? All right, with that, there goes my picks. Let me give you guys my fantasy players. Last week I gave you guys a couple fantasy players. I gave you some value players, well, it was just too much, really. So this week I'm going to give you guys who I think will be a breakout fantasy player, and I'm going to try to avoid taking the obvious choices, but sometimes I'll have to. Like if Aaron Rodgers is going against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm going to have to take him. But this week he's not. So, who is? Oh, that's right, Ryan Tannehill. So let's go with Ryan Tannehill as our quarterback for the breakout this week. I think Tannehill will have big numbers this week. Maybe 2 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. Maybe even 3 touchdowns through the air with 1 on the ground. Who knows? Sky's the limit this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. If they don't break out this week, because I thought they were going to break out last week against the Skins, and they didn't. It took a Jarvis Landry punt return to get them moving and actually put them in the lead. If they don't break out this week, I'm ready to say, you know what? The Dolphins are not my breakout team anymore for this year. But let's see it. Let's give him one more chance. Ryan Tannehill, breakout quarterback for the week. Running back, I gave you Amir Abdullah last week, and I'm going to give you him again. First carry last week, touchdown. Hit a little okie doke on Eric Weddle at the goal line. Amir Abdullah looks like he's playing Madden on easy against these guys. He is super fast. He can stop on a dime, and he looks good. Also had 4 catches, I think it was, for 44 yards last week. Look for him to continue that. He also led the way with 7 carries, Joique Bell having 6. I think Amir Abdullah plays a big role this whole season. I love him. Let's go with Abdullah, and he's very cheap on DraftKings this week. Breakout receiver, let's go with Terrence Williams of the Cowboys. With Dez Bryant out, we've got Terrence Williams becoming the #1 player there, #1 receiver. Last week, the #1 receiver that faced the Philadelphia Eagles was Julio Jones, and he absolutely blew up. He made Byron Maxwell look like, well, a horrible CB. So let's see what happens this week with Terrence Williams, who is a pretty talented guy. Very cheap as well this week, so let's go with Terrence Williams, breakout wide receiver. Tight end, I'm going to go with Martellus Bennett from the Chicago Bears. I think Jay Cutler's going to struggle to get the ball outside against those tough Arizona Cardinals defenders on the outside. Patrick Peterson, and I'm not sure who the other corner is, but I'm pretty sure he's pretty good. So look for Cutler to go down the middle of the field to this tight end Bennett, hit his safety valve. And of course, with a quarterback like Cutler, who takes a lot of chances down the field, has a lot of turnovers, that's great for your fantasy value because he's going to have a lot of jump balls and a lot of opportunities down the field, Will Bennett. So let's go with Bennett. Defense, we're going to go with Miami. Again, we've got Cheater and we've got Cameron Wake down there on the defensive line, pressuring Blake Bortles. Sorry. And so I think Miami will have a couple turnovers, and I think they'll dominate that game. So let's go with Miami Dolphins as our defense. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week. See you guys next week for week 3. Let's keep it moving. I'm out.